You're the problem, don't come to the wedding. My dad said the night before my sister's big day. But at the ceremony, her fiancé looked at me and said, "Didn't expect to see my CEO here." The guests fell silent. She wasn't just a plus one. You're the problem, don't come to the wedding. My dad didn't flinch when he said it. Didn't lower his voice. Didn't care that I was standing in the kitchen, holding the gift I bought for my sister, the one I'd flown across the country to hand her in person. He just took another sip of his beer, leaned back against the counter, and stared at me like I was some stain on the floor that wouldn't come out. You think showing up with some expensive bottle of champagne makes you family? He added. Stay away tomorrow. You'll ruin the pictures. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Because what do you even say when the man who raised you waits until the night before your only sibling's wedding to finally spell it out? You don't belong. My mother didn't stop him. She stood by the sink, drying dishes she'd already dried 3 times, eyes fixed on the window like she was hoping the dark outside would swallow the words. When I glanced at her, she flinched. But not for me. For the mess I was apparently about to make. Emma, my sister, was upstairs. Laughing. Probably with her bridesmaids. Probably talking about centerpieces and speeches in first dances and how good the family looked now that I finally learned to stay in the background. They didn't expect me to show up at the ceremony. But I did. And when I stepped into the venue, tucked into a vineyard 2 hours outside of Napa Valley, every corner dripping with floral arrangements and white linen, the hush that fell over the guests was almost theatrical. Then he saw me. Zach. The groom. My sister's soon-to-be husband. His jaw didn't drop. His eyes didn't narrow. He just smiled. Like he'd been waiting. And then he said the words that cracked the silence open like glass. Didn't expect to see my CEO here. There was a beat of confusion. Then every head turned. Zach was still smiling. She's not just a plus one, he said. She's the reason I was able to start my company. The reason I even have a job to afford this wedding. She's my boss. And just like that, Emma's face drained of color. Dad froze mid-step. And the woman the family had spent years ignoring, underestimating, replacing, was suddenly the center of the room. And I hadn't even opened my mouth yet. You want to know what's funny? They always used me. But it wasn't until I stopped giving that they treated me like I didn't exist. Long before the wedding, before the speech, before the silence cracked, I was the one holding everything together behind the scenes. The invisible thread. The safety net. The person who picked up the phone at 2 a.m., wired the money, rescheduled the flights, edited the resumes, paid for the dental work, and never asked for anything in return. I was the mistake, sure. But I was also the reason the family didn't fall apart years ago. I remember last Christmas. They told me they couldn't afford to get me a plane ticket home. Said times were tight. Emma had been going through a lot. Dad had surgeries coming up. Mom's car needed repairs. 2 weeks later, I saw their vacation pics on Facebook. Matching pajamas. Cabin in Lake Tahoe. Emma in front of the fireplace holding a champagne flute. Caption. Our family, finally together. I wasn't tagged. No one said a word. When I asked Mom about it, she said, "We didn't think you want to come. You're always so busy." That was her way of saying, you don't fit the aesthetic anymore. But it didn't start there. Emma has always been the golden one. The soft voice manipulator. She cries and suddenly everyone's hands are tied. When she broke her lease and needed a place to crash. I was there. When she wrecked her car and blamed a hit and run that turned out to be a DUI. I paid the tow fees. When she couldn't pay rent after buying Coachella tickets. I Venmo'd her $1,200. My parents didn't thank me. They told me, you're doing what a good sibling should. But when I missed one call, because I was in a board meeting, suddenly I was unreliable. They twisted the story. Dad told people I was burning out, that I couldn't handle family pressure. Mom said I was cold and needed therapy. Emma? Oh, she told her friends that I had a power complex and liked feeling superior. So I stopped responding. I started drawing lines. And that's when things got really dirty. They created a new family group chat without me. I only found out because my cousin Sasha screenshot it. Send it with the caption. Girl, they're spiraling. In the chat? Photos of Emma's new apartment. The one I helped her get. She was calling it her fresh start and finally living without handouts. Then came the memes. My dad sent one. When your daughter makes 6 figures and still can't buy love. Cousins laughing. Aunt Margie wrote. Some people just can't stand seeing others happy. Jealousy is a disease. Jealous? I was bankrolling the disease. They had no idea I'd been collecting every message. Every post. Every receipt. Then Emma slipped. She posted a boomerang of herself holding a bouquet, captioned. engagement shoot sneak peek with my forever. And in the comments someone asked, "Did your sister help again?" She replied, "Nope. This time it was all me. That bouquet? I paid for it. The photographer? My referral. The ring? A custom design Zach asked me for advice on 6 months ago. I screenshotted everything. I wasn't angry. I was done. But it got worse. A week before the wedding, my dad called me drunk. He thought I wouldn't pick up. I never do when he's like that. But that night I did. Just to hear what he'd say. He slurred. "You know, you're just a spare part. Always were. You think Emma needs you now? She's got Zach. He's a real man. Not like your arrogant self." Then he laughed. And hung up. 3 hours later, I got an alert. Someone tried to access my bank account from a device in Napa Valley. Guess where my dad lives? I changed every password. Froze every account. Started digging. And I found something. Buried in an old shared Dropbox folder Emma forgot to remove me from. A PDF. Labeled Wedding Budget Final. I opened it. Line 14. Venue deposit. Wired from my name, business account. Line 19. Hair plus makeup for bride plus bridal party. Charged to my card. Line 25. DJ deposit. She said she'd cover it. She. Me. That's when it clicked. They didn't invite me to the wedding. But they sure used my money to fund it. And the best part? Zach didn't know. He thought Emma was paying from a bonus she got at work. Except Emma hadn't worked in 6 months. And I had the tax returns to prove it. So I sent Zach a text. Simple. "Hey, want to know who really paid for your wedding?" He replied with 3 dots. Then, "Is this a joke?" I said. "Meet me at the vineyard. Tomorrow. Noon." He showed up. And when I handed him a folder, screenshots, statements, the Dropbox trail, he went quiet. Then he said something I'll never forget. "She lied to me. But you gave me everything. Without asking for a thing." I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just asked, "Do you still want me to come?" He looked me dead in the eye and said, "I want you in the front row." The venue smelled like eucalyptus and lies. The florist had gone all out. Ivory drapery, rose petals down the aisle, candles floating in glass cylinders like a Pinterest fever dream. The kind of wedding where everyone looks Instagram perfect but nobody can tell you what love actually feels like. I arrived 10 minutes before the ceremony. Wearing a black suit I didn't need to afford because I'd already paid for half the wedding. People stared. I wasn't on the guest list. My name wasn't on the seating chart. But they couldn't deny I belonged there. And when the groom walked up to me, hugged me, and whispered, "Let's expose the truth together," I knew we were past the point of no return. Zach stepped forward first. He took the mic from the DJ, smiled like this was still part of the plan, and said, "Before we start, I just want to thank the person who made all of this possible. She's not on the program. She's not even supposed to be here. But she's the reason I have a business, a life, a voice. So today, she gets the mic first." He turned, looked at me, handed me the mic. Silence. I stepped forward. Every fork paused midair. Emma froze at the top of the aisle, holding her bouquet like it was a weapon. My father stood, jaw tight, knuckles white. My mother gasped, quietly but didn't move. I took a breath. And then I said it. I wasn't invited to this wedding. Whispers. Gasps. One of the bridesmaids dropped her phone. Last night, my father told me I was a mistake. That I didn't deserve to be here. My mother said nothing. My sister, Emma, built an entire wedding using my money. My business account. My help. And never once said thank you. I held up the folder. So I brought receipts. First, I pulled out the venue invoice. Her name nowhere on it. My LLC right at the top. Then the flower deposit charged to my card. Then the ring blueprint emails between Zach and me, discussing the design. Every single proof, neatly printed and paperclipped like a never-ending audit. I turned to Emma. "You said this was all you. You told your friends you built this day yourself. Funny because the only thing you built was a lie." She opened her mouth. Too late. I tapped my phone. Behind me, the screen flickered on. A video began playing. Emma's voice. From her backup drive. From a folder she'd labeled FAM. Clips of her bragging to her friends. I told Zach I paid for it. He doesn't need to know. She always caves. I just cry a little and boom, money wired. If she ever stops helping, I'll just tell Dad she threatened me. He'll believe anything. Then a splice of her voice, edited audio she once tried to use against me. But this version? I had cleaned. I had restored. And I had proof of the original clips. The room was dead silent. Until Zach turned to Emma and said, "You used me. You used her. You used everyone." Emma stammered, This isn't, someone edited." I cut her off. "I didn't come here to ruin your wedding, Emma. You did that yourself. I came here to end this. Publicly. Finally." I turned to the crowd. "To those of you who've watched me disappear over the years, stay silent while they erase me. This is your curtain call. Say something. Or sit down forever." No one moved. Not until Grandpa stood up. Yes. Grandpa. My father's father. The one they kept hidden. The one they said was too old to attend. He walked forward, slow, steady, wearing a suit so sharp it sliced the room in half. He stood beside me, faced the crowd, and said, "She's the only one in this family with a backbone. Her father is a coward. Her sister is a liar. And her mother? She let it happen." He turned to my dad. "You always thought your daughters were competition. One to worship, one to destroy. But the wrong one worshipped you. And the wrong one won." Dad exploded. "You don't know what you're talking about." But Grandpa raised a hand. "Sit down." And my dad did. For the first time in my life, I saw fear in his eyes. Then Zach did the unthinkable. He took off his ring. Put it on the table. "I won't marry someone who doesn't know the meaning of the word honest. I loved you. But I love myself more." Emma collapsed into a chair. Mascara streaked. Hair wilting. Fake lashes trembling. She whispered, "You ruined my life." I smiled. "No, sis. You built a fantasy." I just turned on the lights. Then I turned to the guests. "I'm done being the wallet. The ghost. The outsider. Today, I reclaim my name. I'm not the plus one. I'm not the mistake. I'm the reason you had anything at all." Mic dropped. I walked out. The last thing I heard was Grandpa behind me muttering to himself. Finally, a wedding worth remembering. They say a wedding is supposed to be the beginning of something beautiful. For me, it was the end of a lie. The morning after the ceremony that wasn't, I woke up to 37 missed calls, 16 voicemails, and 1 email with the subject line, "You destroyed everything." It was from my mother. I didn't open it. Instead, I brewed coffee, sat on my balcony overlooking the skyline I'd earned, and hit post. Title: What happens when you're the family's backup plan until you say no? Inside, screenshots, transaction logs, photos of receipts, messages from Emma, emails from Mom begging for a little extra this month, bank transfers labeled bridal suite, dress deposit, and catering final. I blurred some names, but not hers. Not theirs. Not anymore. Within an hour it started. Comments. Reposts. DMs. Then it went viral. People weren't just reading, they were furious. Adult children shared their stories of being used. Small creators made TikToks summarizing the entire drama in 30-second bites. Hashtag not the plus one started trending. Then came the reactions. Emma deleted her Instagram. My father posted a grainy photo of a Bible and wrote, "Family is sacred. Betrayal is the devil's tool." It got 6 likes. 2 of them were bots. My mother? She sent me a voice message. No greeting, no remorse. Just, "We're being harassed because of you. Do you feel good now? Is this what you wanted?" I didn't respond. Because it wasn't what I wanted. It was what I deserved. The fallout wasn't just digital. It was real. Zach moved out of Emma's apartment the next day. Left her with the rent, the wedding debt, and the silence. I heard through a friend she tried to apply for a loan using my name again. Too bad I'd already flagged her with the credit bureau. She's blacklisted until 2031. My dad called my office. Left a message for HR. Tried to say I was leaking company funds. The call never made it to my boss because I own the company. When that didn't work, he called my clients. One of them, a woman named Christine, forwarded me the call. "I heard your family's falling apart," Dad had said. "Might want to reconsider working with her. She's volatile." Christine's reply? "You're lucky to have raised a powerhouse like her. Too bad she didn't get it from you." She signed another 2-year contract with me that day. But that wasn't the part that shook them. The part that broke them was the video. I went back to the vineyard 2 weeks later. Same dress. Same spot. Camera on. Voice steady. This is where they tried to erase me. Then I told the story, start to finish. The lies. The manipulation. The financial abuse. The moment at the altar. The mic in my hand. The silence that followed. And I ended with, "They wanted to make me invisible. So I lit the whole illusion on fire instead." The video hit 4 million views in 3 days. Local news picked it up. Then a podcast. Then a documentary team reached out. But I didn't do it for fame. I did it to close the door. I changed my number, opened a new checking account, filed legal documents to reclaim every cent that had been used in my name, sent Emma a formal letter. You owe me $28,347.82. You have 30 days to respond. No response. But her new boyfriend, yeah, she found one, sent me a DM. Did you really ruin your sister's wedding for attention? I replied with a screenshot. Emma's own words. I'll just cry and she'll pay. He blocked me, then dumped her 2 weeks later. As for my dad, he tried to sue me, claimed I slandered the family. His lawyer sent me a cease and desist letter. I sent them my own, a counterclaim for fraud, unauthorized use of funds, and identity misuse. Attached. The time he used my business card to pay for his fishing trip and forge my signature on a gift of $5,000 to Emma labeled business consulting. His lawyer dropped him. And my mother? She started sending Bible verses again. Little texts like, God forgives. So should you. I didn't even open them. I just blocked her and sent a note through a paralegal. Please direct all further communication to my attorney. Thank you. But here's the part they never expected. The day after I blocked them all, I launched something new. A fund. For young women escaping toxic family structures. Named it. Not a mistake. First donation? $50,000. Publicly visible. My name attached. I knew they'd see it. I wanted them to. Especially when the local newspaper ran the headline. CEO turns wedding scandal into social impact. They erased me, so I made myself unforgettable. I didn't do interviews. Didn't answer DMs. Didn't even look back. Because I wasn't the family ATM anymore. I wasn't the extra guest. I was the storm they couldn't survive. They don't call anymore. Not because they've accepted anything, but because they know I'm not picking up. The last voicemail I ever got from my father came 3 weeks after the video exploded. His voice was flat, like someone had told him to read a script he didn't believe in. You've made your point. You can stop now. We're still your family. Click. No, sorry. No, I was wrong. Just the desperate cry of a man watching the walls close in and realizing he no longer has the keys. I deleted the message. Then I changed my number. Again. The next day, I walked into a small office space I'd been quietly renovating for months. No one knew about it. Not even the documentary crew who asked to follow my story. They called it healing. I called it control. The space was bright. Clean. One long conference table. One whiteboard. A nameplate on the door. The Backbone Project. I built it for women like me. For people used like currency by those who should have protected them. For the forgotten daughters. The invisible sons. The plus ones who were the only reason the whole house hadn't burned down. I launched it quietly. Didn't announce it with a press release. Just a single post. If they called you crazy, selfish, dramatic, or a mistake, this space is for you. The applications came in like a flood. Some wrote novels. Others just said. I thought I was the only one. I read every word. And then one evening I got a package. No return address. Inside, a photo. Me as a child. On a swing. Hair in my face, shoes muddy mid-laugh. On the back, scribbled in fading pen. You were always too much for us. That was our failure. Not yours. No signature. But the handwriting was familiar. My mother's. I didn't cry. Not even a little. Because I finally understood something. It wasn't my job to make them better. It was never about being loved the right way. It was about not letting that hunger destroy me. They used me. Taught me that love was conditional. That loyalty had to be bought. But now, I am no longer for sale. A week later, Emma emailed me. Subject line. Can we talk? I almost didn't open it. But curiosity wins sometimes. She said she was sorry. That she didn't know why she did all of it. That she was in therapy now. That Zach was the best thing that almost happened to her. That she misses having a sister. She ended with, you don't have to forgive me. Just maybe, don't hate me forever. I stared at the screen for a long time. And then I replied. 3 words. I don't. And I won't. I didn't block her. I just never wrote again. Because silence is not vengeance. It's survival. It's the sound of finally being out of the storm. And me? I moved. Again. This time to a coast I've never lived on. New city. New weather. No memories. I walk to work. I sleep with both eyes closed now. My phone is quiet. My heart is lighter. And sometimes on Sundays I go to this tiny bookstore 2 blocks down. There's a sticky note on the counter. Bright orange. Black Sharpie. It says, Not a mistake. I didn't write it. But I leave it there. Because someone else will walk in. Someone who needs it. Just like I once did. And one last thing, Last month I passed a wedding in the park. Small. Just a few chairs and a white runner. Someone was crying. Happy tears. And for the first time I didn't flinch. I smiled. Because I knew. That could have been me. Used. Replaced. Silenced. But I walked out. And now? Now I write the ending. Final line carved into the door of her new office, etched in steel. Not the backup. Not the mistake. The blueprint.